Kenya's president-elect William Ruto is again calling for unity and says he's ready to get down to the business of governing. He's held a media conference in which he said people had chosen their leaders. Kenya's Electoral Commission gave Mr. Ruto 50.4% of the vote, but his opponent Raila Odinga is disputing the result, saying he'll challenge it in court.
For a job very well done. We have won these elections against many odds. We thank God that this has been made possible. We are very proud Kenyans. I want to tell the people of Kenya, we are having our democratic country back. And everybody can speak to everybody about everything in every way they want. And nobody is going to victimize them.
William Ruto. Well, for the very latest, we can cross live to Nairobi and join Arise East Africa correspondent Mark Bichachi. Good to see you, Mark. So amid the election disputes, the president-elect William Ruto saying he's forging ahead with efforts to create his administration and is ready to engage in any court processes that come up concerning the election results. Tell us more.
Well, it is an interesting time. Of course, William Ruto is hitting the ground running and trying to show the country that indeed he is the man of the hour and he is taking care of business. So this is what he's doing at this.
Okay, I think we seem to be having a bit of problem there with Mark Bichachi. I understand his sound and his picture have frozen, but the gist of it, of course, is that William Ruto, who's been fairly silent since the opposition came out and led by Raila Odinga came out to say that they're going to challenge the election results in court. Mr. Ruto has now come out boldly and strongly. He's bestriding the stage, clearly conscious of the victory that he's won from the Electoral Commission, and saying that he is going to start forming his administration. He's not going to wait around for any decisions about whether legal challenges are going to be mounted, and that if those challenges do get mounted, that he is going to take up those challenges and defend his case in court. I understand that Mark Bichachi is back with us. Let's move on from William Ruto. Mark, do we have a better sense now of the crux of the Odinga coalition's objections to the election results?
Yes, indeed we do. The first issue that they're going to raise is that Wafula Chebukati did not follow the proper procedure in declaring a winner. And this has been affirmed by the four commissioners who say that the plenary, which was supposed to create the Form 34C, was not done. The second issue they're going to raise is the issue of the tally, that the votes were not correctly tallied and William Ruto was declared, therefore, illegally. It has also come out in just the last few minutes that William Ruto's declaration, the four commissioners held the view that there were not enough votes to declare a winner and there was going to be a runoff, and that then explains the difference between the 50.4 because if it was less than 50% and one vote, then it would have called for a runoff, and that difference would have been created if the votes were less than 140,000. So you can imagine that the case is going to be hinged also on just about 50,000 votes out of 14 million votes. So their case is going to hinge on, one, the annulment of the declaration of William Ruto as president, citing that the process was not duly followed. In the failure of that, they will seek for a fresh election, citing that the counting and the tallying of these votes was done in a manner that was illegal. Also, they will push the angle that Form 34Bs were faked, and also that there was ballot stuffing, there was more voter turnout than expected, and there were ghost tallying centers that registered votes which were not there. This formed the crux of the Azimio One Kenya coalition argument before the court, as per my hearing.
Well, thanks for that update, Mark. But I guess one of the things Raila Odinga is likely to be discussing with his advisors and his coalition is whether the sorts of irregularities they feel they've identified would be enough to overturn an election in which 14 million people voted.
Well, that is a good question. And the question really remains on the balance. Now, we are talking about 200,000 votes separating William Ruto and Raila Odinga at 6.9 and 7.1 million million votes respectively. Now, 200,000 votes out of those number of votes is enough to change the will of the people, if indeed there was any form of malfeasance. At the same time, we need to remember that there is the scenario of a runoff. And in the scenario of a runoff, if Raila Odinga and team can prove that there was an extra, just simply 60,000 votes that were added to Mr. William Ruto's votes, then Mr. Raila Odinga can claim that the result could have been a runoff. Now, the reason I bring this up is because the reason why the IEBC is split, it is split because the four commissioners held the opinion, according to reports I'm receiving now, that this result would have been a runoff, while Wafula Chebukati and two other commissioners felt that this was an outright win. And this kind of conversation means that there's just too small a margin, Charles, to say that it is a conclusive win. And therefore, the courts will have cause to find if the defendants can show that the appellant, can show that there were 50,000 votes or 200,000 votes, they can show to the courts that there was a breach of the will of the people, and then there can be an annulment or a runoff.
And very briefly, Mark, can it be said that life is pretty much on hold in Kenya as they wait to see whether there'll be some kind of legal challenge, or are people moving past the elections already? Is business bouncing back?
So yesterday, the capital city was a ghost town and many people across the country were not going to work. But today, the country is bouncing back. And the reason it's bouncing back is because Raila Odinga has committed himself to a peaceful process. There are no demonstrations. There's been no tear gas as we're used to in the country. And since there have been no such thing, the country is bouncing back. Businesses are opening. The traffic jams that were used to in Nairobi are back. So people are going back to work as they wait for the petition to be filed and the case to ensue.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. Mark Bichachi is Arise East Africa correspondent, and he was talking to me there from Nairobi.